Hello everybody and welcome. In today's video, we're going to talk about the winger player role and a special instruction. And let's get started with an overview. Introduced in a recent Football Manager, there's an individual player instruction that seems a bit strange at first. And that's how you can tell a winger player role to cut inside. To begin, let's look at 3 player roles that can be used out on the wing. The inside forward, which has cut inside as a hard-coded player instruction. The inverted winger, which also has cut inside as a hard-coded player instruction. And the winger, who you can tell to cut inside with a given player instruction. So yes, we have 2 player roles who have cut inside as a hard-coded instruction, and another who you can give that instruction. But why would we do this? What benefit is there of telling a winger to cut inside when 2 other player roles already do this? Well, each player role is a little different, despite all playing in the same position and theoretically having the same instructions. The inside forward plays more like a striker and sits in the half space. The winger stays wide and likes to drive down the flanks. And the inverted winger is somewhere in between. But the player instruction menu can give us more insight into the cut inside instruction. This is the screen for the winger player role where we can give custom player instructions. The biggest takeaway is that cut inside is given whenever the player has the ball. So without the ball, he'll follow what the player role normally does, and this includes their positioning. What this means is that the player role you select has a huge impact on what your player does during a match. And remember, we're not trying to replicate another player role with given player instructions. We're telling a winger to cut inside if he wants to. We're not telling him to play like an inverted winger, even though they have similarities. I know that's a lot to take in, so in the next section, we'll break this down further. One important element in building your tactic is the ability to blend your tactical philosophies with what your players are good at. If you can mix what you want to do with what your players want to do, you can have a successful tactic. Let's look at an example. In a 4-3-3, one of my favorite combinations is using a winger on support on the right flank with a Metsala on attack on that same side. These two are such an effective combination that I made an entire video on them. To bring back the topic of this video, let's talk about how a winger with cut inside fits into all of this. And for that, we need our player example, and I'd say he's the next best thing, but obviously he's already arrived. And that's Lamine Yamal at Barcelona, the best wonder kid in the game. He's natural on the right flank, and has many standout attributes for a winger, like dribbling, crossing, technique, and acceleration. But there's 2 important things about him. The first is that he has the player trait cuts inside from right wing. And the other is that his preferred foot is his left. So we have a player on the right flank who wants to cut inside. So why use Lamine Yamal as a winger when he could just as easily play an inverted winger or inside forward to take advantage of those 2 things, his left foot and his ability to cut inside? Well, it goes back to what I was just talking about, tactical choices. Looking at my tactic again, here's the full player role setup. A winger is absolutely vital to how this tactic functions. The width that the winger role gives us allows the Metsala the half space to work, which allows the inverted wingback space in the midfield to move into, which gives the deep lying forward more passing options and so on. So you see, by changing one player role, the entire tactic would play out differently. And it all comes down to how the winger will stay wide naturally. Let's dive deeper and check out some in-game examples. Here's our first one. Right now, Lamine Yamal is on the ball as a winger on support. He's going to do a very normal thing for the player role. He's going to take the ball and attack down the right flank. Also keep an eye on the Metsala, who attacks the half space alongside the winger. We get a decent cross into the box. Now let's see how the winger works with the cut inside player instruction. This is us on the ball in the midfield. Here's the Metsala and here's the winger. Look at their nice spacing with each other. The winger will get the ball and cut inside, creating a unique interchange with the Metsala. The play doesn't work out, but this is the type of movement you can get with these 2 roles. Okay, now for the important question. why would you use the winger with this instruction instead of just using an inverted winger? Like the others, this is us on the ball in the midfield. Here's our winger on support. This role here is the inverted winger, also on support. So the ball is in the dead center of the field. And note how the inverted winger is sitting just inside the line of the penalty box. And the winger is outside, a little wider. Remember, cut inside is only an instruction for when the player has the ball. The player role still decides their initial positioning. The inverted winger, sitting tucked in, gives the fullback on attack room out wide, while the winger, who's sitting in that wider space, gives room for the inverted wingback in the midfield. As you watch the play, the inverted winger decides to go out wide and use his winger DNA to get in across. The last thing we're going to talk about is something to muddy the waters even further, and it's a player instruction that I sometimes like to use in my 4-3-3. If we go back to the tactic, I like to use the inside forward, a natural fit in this formation. And with this role, we can tell him to stay wider when the team has the ball. Like the others, why would we tell an inside forward to stay wider, instead of just using a winger or inverted winger? Well, the inside forward is what I would consider a selfish role, and they want to shoot the ball. This is a good thing to have when you're using a tactic with only 3 advanced players, like in a 4-3-3. In this example, we're on the ball in the attacking midfield, and this role is the inside forward, who has the out of possession player instruction of stay wider. They have very similar positioning. But as you see, when the inside forward gets the ball, he wants to cut inside and look to score, not pass. As we wrap up, there are many different combinations of player roles and instructions that you can give your team. And the most important takeaway from all this information is that none of it is right or wrong. It's all about how you want to build out your tactic. If you want some more info on these roles or other FM ideas, I've got different playlists that you can check out. I've also got a Patreon account if you'd like to support the channel. Anyway, that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching.